All right, I'm here with Tucker Wells, and today we're talking about what makes a bad real estate candidate, which it's a funny title. I mean, you might not think of it in terms of, hey, are you good or bad when it comes to being a fit for future opportunities? But here's one thing I want to lead with. Okay. A lot of times in life, when there's opportunities coming down the pipe and somebody gets that opportunity and you do not, it's not necessarily because that person was so much better than you or any of those things. It's because I think fundamentally, the one question that we need to ask ourselves for anything we do is, if I want to be that thing or become a director or have the job of my dreams, whatever that is, who do I need to be? That is the fundamental question of, whether or not you're going to get the opportunities that you want. Because at the end of the day, if you're not that person, if you're a bad candidate for the job, you're not going to get it. And for me, I think it's an honest exercise to just sit there and say, hey, where do I lack? What kind of person do I be? Both skills, personality, polish. What do I need to present myself as to get the opportunities that I want? So foundationally, I think, we're going to be talking about who you need to be. But in the context of this article, what makes for a bad real estate job candidate, let's go ahead and maybe deconstruct some of the things that you might not want to be. And with that as the introduction, Tucker, I'll turn it over to you, buddy.
Hey there, Sam. Thank you. Who do you need to be is that's so good, and it's humbling. So thank you for that. Just a bit of context around this article. I was talking with a managing director of one of the top real estate private equity shops, and he was asking about candidates. And it got onto the conversation of, Tucker, what do you think makes a bad candidate? And I had to think to myself, man, that's a great question.
We don't
and
usually
I decided to
those
write
terms,
about it. What?
We don't usually think of it in those terms.
No.
We try and think half glass full, but
Yep.
it does make sense to look at, hey, well, what are a couple disqualifiers out of the gate?
Yeah,
exactly. That makes a lot of sense. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, keep in mind of this conversation, he is dealing with hundreds of millions of dollars per deal. And so the first point is around sophistication. And I wrote about, hey, maybe today you're doing $0 to $100,000 residential deals, or $1 million to $10 million, 8-plex multifamily, or some smaller retail. And then you want to say, oh, I want this job and I'm doing $100 million. And we started speaking about the sophistication around the legal efforts, the waterfall modeling, the contacts, the bankers, the mortgage brokers, on and on, the construction, on and on and on. And so the first is around sophistication. And so I think you got to do a deep dive into, where am I at today? Am I doing $100,000 deals, $2 million deals? If I want a new job, maybe 10x, go to that $20 million range. That's kind of what I would say in terms of sophistication, just so you can kind of start building that track record, to be honest with you.
I want to maybe piggyback on just, again, this comes back to who do you need to be? So lack of sophistication. There's a phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. Have you heard that?
I have.
Okay, so that's not the actual phrase. It's jack of all trades, master of none will beat always master of one. Right? And so here's what I want to say. If you're going in the job, we're talking about who you need to be. You're in the context of the story that you're talking about, this employer is looking for somebody who wants to get the right fit, wants somebody that is more sophisticated. And what I think is, today in commercial real estate, we're getting more and more sophisticated, and going deep, like becoming very specialized in something, is really, really good, right? Being great at a particular type of model, whatever that skill set is good, but it doesn't replace a broad understanding of a lot of things. And in different skill sets, we call this full stack. Like if you're a developer, we call it a full stack developer. You want to position yourself to be a full stack yet niche, whatever you are. Like if you're an analyst, you want to be full stack. You want to provide as much value to the hiring party as possible. And I think so many times, we just, and I don't know whether it's laziness or whether it's we just don't know. We limit ourselves on what our job title says we are. I'm an analyst. That means I do X, Y, Z, right? That limiting your thought process and what you do in your job, in your current role, if you limit that and just narrow it down to just that scope, you're probably going to lack the level of sophistication that you could have if you started involving these other parts of the pie, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're an analyst, whatever your position is, if that's all you're doing, then yeah, you can add just that level of value. But if you know more, you can add more, right? So higher level of sophistication, and maybe we're talking about becoming more full stack in your skills is really what we're talking about. Yeah.
So if you're saying, hey, I'm an analyst today, Sam, I also on a daily basis connect with property managers, asset managers, acquisitions, developers. Hey, why don't I shadow them on a job, see if I like it? Why don't I, try and work with them, get into meetings with them? Is that how you acquire that full stack?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a really good example. I think another example would be, I mean, everybody, let's talk about modeling for just a minute. I think in the terms of real estate financial modeling, there's two different people out there. One who understand that, we need to learn the fundamentals of real estate to really be proficient at modeling. Okay. And that means there's a lot of things to learn. And then the second person is man, maybe we can just find a black box that models these deals for us. Right. And I think that's kind of like the holy grail of modeling. A lot of people think they want that, but really what you need is you need a full comprehensive understanding of the skill sets and everything. So you can both do the job as well as explain how to do the job. Right. And so I think just look at it again. Who do you need to be in order to help your company at that current time, or who you're going to be working for, get there faster, be more efficient? I mean, the free markets, free enterprise, the whole thing is all about finding inefficiencies and making them efficient, right? So the more sophisticated you could be, the more you can have reach into your business, the better value you're going to be. Okay, so sophistication, that's one thing. What's two?
Job hopping.
Job hopping's not good.
Job hopping is not
Let's
good.
talk job hopping. Like, why? It seems like that's kind of the thing. Is there an acceptable level of job hopping?
If you've got 10 years experience, if you've moved 5 times, there's a track record of you moving every 2 years.
Yeah.
I think 3 times in 10 years is good. I think 3-year stints are perfectly acceptable. For the people right out of school, hey, you might get the first 1 or 2 jobs wrong, but then again, you start to have a track record of I'm obviously not doing something right. So it goes back to, hey, is this a chess move or a checkers move? What am I
Right.
doing at this company? And from the hiring manager's perspective, if you haven't been there for 18, 24 months at some of these
Right.
jobs, it'll just say, I have an inability to stick with a job. I don't have loyalty. And they'll honestly move to the next candidate.
Yeah.
I see that.
Or what is it that makes it from this candidate? Why can't they keep a job longer than 12 to 24 months? Right.
Yep.
So there's maybe two pieces to that. One, this person, proves to be unreliable because they don't stick with the company long enough to help them achieve their objectives. That's one. That's not good. Right. So establishing a pattern that proves that is not good. Then the other is, well, maybe this person is getting let go or is being encouraged to move on because their inability to produce the value that they hire them for is not there. Both of which are not bad things. And so that pattern, if you establish a pattern of not sticking with a company, long term, it's not going to benefit you.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned in your first point in the inability to stick with a job. There's only so much you can get done in 18 to 24 months. So some of these deals are taking a long time, 3 to 4 to 5 years. I remember Michael Belasco, he was 3 years at Heinz and the project wasn't even moving.
Yeah.
And so some of these development projects literally take 8 years. And so there's only so much you can get done in that short amount of time. And then coming back to point number two, you might just not be good, and the company sees that, and it just starts going in a bad direction.
Yeah. All right. Number three. So we've got right now lack of sophistication, job hoppers, both of which are not great. What's the number three? What's the number three thing that makes for a bad job candidate?
I think this is something that you could easily work on, and it's your inability to communicate.
Yeah.
So when I'm on a call, maybe a talent acquisition person is talking to you, and you're actually, hey, you have good stickability at a company, you're sophisticated. Check, check. Number two is, or the last is, hey, are you able to communicate effectively?
Right.
Sam, we're right here having a discussion. It's equal talk, 30 seconds you, 30 seconds me. In your ability to communicate with a hiring manager, what does that conversation look like?
Right.
Are you someone who they say, man, I have full trust and confidence that I could give Sam a leadership position? Is he precise? Is he concise? Is he effective in his conversation? Is he persuasive? These are all things that hiring managers look at in such a short amount of time.
Right.
And so just your ability to communicate, hey, this is my 10-second overview. This is 10 seconds about me. And just understanding, hey, this is how I can communicate better.
Right. What's interesting is this is a double-edged sword. So you kind of were speaking it in terms of a hiring manager or a manager of an employee. They want to see people that have really polished communication skills. They want to see an articulate person. They want to see a person who is willing to communicate with others. And really what they're looking for is these transactions don't come about without a team effort, right? And so that really boils down to how effectively can we join as a team and convey our problems and solve those problems. And that comes directly from your ability to communicate. So that's from the one side. The other side is if you are a job candidate or if you are a career, you want to really accelerate your career to the highest levels possible. The number one skill that you can get is your ability to communicate. If you can present yourself as a person that has ideas, solutions, and that becomes a person who works well with others, you're the person that they're going to talk to about, hey, we need a management position in this new role in XYZ city, right? That's who they're going to talk to. If you're the person that keeps to themselves, maybe, doesn't really offer up proactive solutions, things like that, you're going to get passed over, right? So your ability as an employee at whatever role you're at the company that you're at right now, your ability to communicate directly relates and is associated with your career advancement opportunities. I cannot tell you, I've hired a lot of people, and I can tell you the people who stand out are the people who really voice their opinion. If they bring me a problem, they already have some kind of solution with it, and we can dialogue better. That way, again, we're helping each other do the job and become more efficient. So that is number three. So in summary, and just to kind of conclude on what makes a bad hire, how would you summarize and conclude this video?
I would say a few things. You got to go out this process the right way. If you are 18 to 24 months in your first or second job, hey, stick around for a little bit longer and just try to maybe communicate better with your team, voice your opinions, step up. Next, become a little bit more sophisticated and take a good intake about where you are today and how you could get on a hiring manager's radar who does work at a company that you really want to be at.
Awesome. Tucker, thanks for this. Great article, great content. And to the viewers, we'll see you on the next video.